Well, good evening, friends. It's Chad from Colorado Giants talking a little quieter because the baby's on the other side of that wall. But we're inside and I'm doing some seed starting. So let me tell you what I am doing this year to start my seeds. And we're just going to talk about seeds and what I'm growing this year, too. Stay tuned. So if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and the bell and the thumbs up. And if you have a question, comment below. I'll get to it at some point. So it is, what is it? It is the 7th. Yes, it is April 7th. I'm starting my seeds today. Typically for me, my seed starting window is like April 5th through the 10th-ish, somewhere in there. I really don't think that seed starting is ultra critical when the window is 10 days. I mean, at the end of the year, you're talking 10 days. It's not a big deal. So whatever kind of works for you. I'm going to be out of town towards the end of April. So I want them to be up, established inside of the greenhouse before I go. So hence I'm starting a little bit early, just by a few days. So let's talk about what I'm growing this year. This is my 10th year growing giant pumpkins. And giants are pretty much gardening, really. I've been in Colorado for 10 years, and this will be my 10th year. And I've been growing ever since I've been here, so 10 years of growing. So as such, I'm going to do something a little different. I always strive to grow pretty orange pumpkins and big ones. Every once in a while, I've thrown in a non-orange genetic, but this year I am going to do something a little bit different. I will insert some pictures of these fruit over here as I talk about them. So the first one, well, let's do this one. We'll start with the 1783 new. So the 1783 new obviously is my own seed. It grew the 1976 new. It's proven orange heavy pumpkin maker. I got to have at least one pretty orange one. Next up, we have the 1738 Werner. This is a green squash. So I'm growing green squash this year. I think I have a chance to set a new state record. Mark Sawtell has held that state record for probably close to 10 years. So I think I want to take a shot at it. So I'm going to grow 2 squashes this year. Rather, I'm starting 4 seeds for 1 squash spot. The other one is the 1419 Donahue. Yeah, Donahue. I put Donahive because dyslexia. So got that one. And then I'm doing the 2144 Baron. 2144 Baron is going to be extremely popular this year. I started off growing Don seeds, and I really like Don the grower, and I grow his seeds, and they've always been pretty lucky for me. 2144 grew the 2700 pounder, so that's why it's going to be really popular this year. So maybe I'm thinking I can cross my 1783 into Don's 2144 and maybe pretty up that ugly pumpkin. So that's my seed lineup this year. Let's talk seeds just in general. So Emily overheard me talking about this video, obviously, and she said that I should talk about seed selection. Seed selection is, everybody has a different method to their madness, but in general, Emily pointed out that you don't necessarily want to grow the 1976 new. That seed is not proven. I think it will do very well. I think it should be heavy. I think it should be orange. But there's a difference between I think and I know. I know the 1783 has made many pumpkins approaching 2,000 pounds, and they've all been orange and they've all been heavy. I know that the 2144 Baron has made the 2nd or 3rd heaviest pumpkin of all time. And I know that these squash genetics will prove out green squash. And if you don't know, a green squash is basically just a green pumpkin. However, to qualify as a squash, it has to be completely devoid of any orange. So even if it has a little speck of orange that big around, it is not a squash and it is qualified as a pumpkin. So you have to be careful when planting squash, says the guy who's never planted a squash. to pick genetics that are proven to reproduce squash. So that's what you need to consider when choosing your seeds. There's nothing wrong with growing unproven seeds, but growing proven seeds is always a little bit safer. When it comes to picking the seed, I typically will start 3 seeds for every 1 pumpkin that I grow. It's all about risk mitigation. So if I'm going to grow 1 plant, I will start 3 seeds, I will plant 2, and then we end up with 1. Just because you never know, maybe 1 won't sprout, maybe 1 is super aggressive, which is what you are looking for. I'm getting a text message. Yeah, so it's always best as many of the seeds as you can gather. Start several seeds and whittle your way down. There's never a bad thing. It's never a bad thing to start too many seeds. If you have extra seedlings, give them away. It's a good way to spread the hobby. Now, when it comes to picking your specific seed, seeds between fruit are very different. So this seed is a 2144 Barren, and this is a 1783 Werner. So the Barren obviously is a much larger seed than the Werner, and then even smaller still is the 1783 New, which that's an even smaller seed than the Barren, probably the smallest seeds, but that for me is the most proven seed. So when you get seeds will come in different thicknesses and sizes physically of the seed. Don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. The anatomy of the seed is as such. The backside back here is the actual leaves. From here is where the root will start. So the point of the seed, and then the back half, the round, that's where the cotyledons, the first 2 leaves, the kind of the stored energy for the pumpkin plant seedling is right here. So never really kind of fiddle with the tip, because that's where the root comes out of, and you don't want to break it, you don't want to smash it, you want to leave that alone. This is where the root comes from, very important. An optional step that some people do, some people don't. I typically don't, but I did it because I wanted to share it with you, is sanding your seeds. So all I have is a little sanding block right here, a 3M, I think 80 grit. I just had it in my garage. And all you're gonna do is sand the edges of your seeds. You do this because the seed wall on a giant pumpkin seed is pretty thick. So when that seed is opening up and those first 2 leaves go like that, and for most things the seed, the shell just kind of falls off. Sometimes it's challenging for a pumpkin seed to do that. You'll have to root around and get some pliers, pop it off. But if you sand it, you have a greater chance of having the shell fall off automatically. So, but it is challenging. I wanted it to focus. So here we go. So you can see that I've sanded just to the point where you can get, there we go, where you can see kind of the inside. And we'll look on the other side. So you can see how much I've sanded. Let's get another one. Whoops. Don't mix up your seeds, that's bad. So that's why like everything's always labeled. There we go, here's a good one. So we can see I sanded all the way there. Don't sand all the way into the seed because you'll be sanding those leaves. Do not sand the tip because like we talked about, that's where the root comes out of. So only sand like the perimeter of the round part. That will allow the shell to come off of the seed as it grows significantly easier. After I sand my seeds, I'm going to soak them for about an hour in a water solution. This will help soften that shell and help the shell come off. So in here I have just a pinch of fulvic acid. I have some Azos Red. I have a little bit of, I'm looking over at the counter where I put it on. I have a little bit of Bacillus. Just beneficial stuff, nothing crazy. If you just put a little like fish fertilizer on here, something simple, That's totally fine. Don't get crazy with it. Less is more. Like I literally put just a tiny pinch, but the humic fulvic just makes everything dark, so it looks like I added a whole bunch of something, but I really did not. Yes, no, this is just water. Should I measure it out? Probably, and do some like fancy ratios. Couldn't hurt, did I? Nope. And there we go. So there we go. They're in there. They will soak for an hour. And I will plant them into their pots. So let's go talk about what we're going to plant these in. Now we're in the garage and it can be a little louder. So we're doing things a little bit different this year. In the past, I've started the seedlings in the little foam cup and then transferred them into like a 1 gallon pot, with the intention of growing them in the pot for several weeks, then transplanting them outside. This year, I want to fully take advantage of my greenhouse and my hot huts so that I can put the seedling out into the greenhouse shortly after that first true leaf emerges. That first true leaf is important because we have the 2 cotyledons, right? They pop out, they go boink, and then that first true leaf will either come out to the left or to the right. The vine will go the opposite of the first true leaf. So I cannot plant the plant in the greenhouse where direction is important until I know where the plant wants to go, which direction. So I have to have it in a little pot. I have to keep them inside until I know that. If direction isn't important, then that's fine. What I'm going to do is I've got this little 45-cent pot. I don't know how big it is, but it's probably like 4 inches square. And then I have some seedling mix. I got this from Dan Sutherland. Yep, from sutherlandorganics.com. Again, trying to support another small business like I really like to do. Really good guy. He's grown 10-pound tomatoes, unofficial for whatever reason. I don't know why they don't get them certified, but they have like unofficial world records. So Dan's doing something right. Plus, just small business. On top of what is in his seed starting mix, I'm going to add a little Fluvic Wonder Brew, which is humic fulvic and a bit of seaweed. Some Versity. This is technically a water in, but I'm just going to put a sprinkle in. Then we have some Root Shield. Root Shield is a beneficial bacteria, which goal is to prevent, for me, like Pythium and Fusarium. It just makes for a healthier plant. This stuff is pretty darn expensive, and a little bit goes a long way. You also have to buy it fresh. The best place to get this is WallaceWow.com. And then speaking of WallaceWow.com, even though the seedling mix has a little in here, I'm going to add some more mycorrhiza just because you can't overdo it. So I'm going to put a pinch of this in. Again, I'm not going to measure. It's going to be a pinch in a kind of a sprinkling. I'll go inside. I'll get it a little more wet, and then I'll show you the next step. Here we go. I got everything, soil all in the pots. Worth noting, when it comes to the moisture level on your soil, you want it to be like, you want to be able to put it in a ball and hold its shape. You don't want it to be sopping wet. You don't want it to be dry. Also, when you put these pots in, like you can't see me, I'm pushing decently hard, and my finger is not like going, you don't want it like super soft because it will help the shell come off. Some people say you need to put it flat. Some people say you need to put it on its side. I typically will just kind of insert the seed at a 45-degree angle. Something that I'm going to do this year is give this a dip in the Root Shield, and then a little bit of mycorrhiza and a little bit of Versity, and get it all covered in all that good stuff. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. We'll find out. And then put it in at about a 45-degree angle, somewhere thereabouts. And that's it. You don't have to worry about like the soil being compacted because it's a strong little plant. It's not a wuss, so you don't really have to worry about. You don't have to worry about it. Not a big deal. Cover it and all these good guys. And again, also make sure that you label. Make sure that you label everything. So obviously, I wrote the names of all the seeds on here: 2144s, 1419s, 1738s, and the 1783s. So once I finish doing that, we're going to come over here to my seed tent. You do not need one of these. Like, this is highly excessive. So in here I have peppers and giant tomatoes and things. Like I had my mouse trap. I had a stupid mouse come in and eat like all my Swiss chard, and we got cabbages and broccoli and lettuces. And then I kept the chicks in here when I was starting them. So once you start your seeds, you basically want it warm. I don't have really anywhere convenient inside the house to keep warm and to keep light. So I do it in here. I have a heat mat, which will keep the soil nice and warm. As soon as the leaves pop up, I will unplug the heat mat. I have a little space heater in here. And then during the daytime, when these lights are on, these are heavy-duty LEDs. It's just on during normal daylight hours. If you don't have a heavy-duty LED, all of this I got used off of Facebook Marketplace. Incandescent bulbs are fine. Just move them really close. Like you want your plant super close, like Moby Mike does, to your seedling, and that's totally fine. This is on a timer, normally be off, but it's all kind of fairly automated. So I'm going to put the seeds into the soil, and we'll be right back. And there we go. About, I don't know, I started sanding at like 9. It's 10:30 at night right now. So an hour and a half later, everything's in. The seeds are started. So at 10:30 on April 7th, my seeds are started for the year. Put them in here, put them on a humidity dome, and the seeds soaked for, I don't know what, probably about an hour or so, 45 minutes to an hour, somewhere in there. Don't soak them too long. You can over soak them. You can get them really waterlogged. So half hour, 45 minutes, no more than an hour ish is kind of what you're going for. So here they will sit. If all goes according to plan, in probably a couple, maybe 2, 3, 4 days, these will all pop up. As soon as they pop up, I'll take the humidity dome off, unplug the heat mat, and we're off to the races. So there we go. If you have any questions, comment below. Hopefully you're off to a good start yourself. Remember, you do not have to start these seeds if you're just an average kind of grower. You do not have to start them this early. You can start them end of April, in middle of May, and you'll be fine. Only if you're trying to be excessive like me and my other giant pumpkin friends. So that's it. Hopefully you found it helpful. Talk to you soon. Next time, whatever. You know what I mean.